Hey everyone, welcome back to Lisa's Book Nook. We're reading The Scourge by A.G. Henley, and we're on Chapter 9. I rushed through the passages, running my hand along the freezing, jagged rock walls, listening for water with every step. I try not to think of Perry lying alone in the dark, his leg burning like a lightless torch. I try not to think about what he told me and what it means, and most of all, I try not to think about what will happen to him. I focus on the water. I have a theory. I remember Willow telling us the legend of the hidden waters as we dozed around the fire as children. She said the waters bubble up from underground, like rainwater seeping from saturated earth. Only this water isn't muddy, it's clean, pure, and most important, safe, protected. It's what makes me so sure the source is somewhere in the caves. Where else would water be safe from the scourge? Willow told us something else. I remember her words clearly, as if she's whispering them to me now. She said the water came from underground and pooled in a water hole as warm as the air in the summer. If the water was really that warm, then it must be outside, because nothing in these caves could be described as warm. And if the water can find its way outside, so can we, I hope. The smell of the caves is changing. It's musty, like Elon's shirt when he comes in from the rain, and every so often I feel a little moisture under my hand. I press on through the dark, willing water to appear. Miraculously, it does. The roar of a rushing stream grows in my ears, and the passage broadens in front of me. I step more gingerly, feeling the ground with my feet before I put my weight down. I can't tell where the rock ends and the water begins with all the echoing noise. When I do find the drop off, I fall to my knees and plunge my hands into the stream. I clean my hands and scrub my face, shivering as the frigid water slips down my neck and chest. Then I drink. It tastes very clean, like sipping pure air, but with a slight metallic tang. I want to know where the underground river goes, if there might be a way to follow it outside, but all I can tell is there's no more light here than in the passages behind me. The darkness is complete. It's not warm, but this has to be it, the hidden waters. It has to be. I don't have time to debate about it. Our water will be gone within the day, and it will be a long, hard walk for Perry to get here, if he can make it at all. I hurry back down the tunnel, berating myself for not bringing one of the empty water sacks to fill for him. I remember the crankberry pouch stuffed in my pocket. I shake out the last one or two berries and rush back to the stream to fill the empty pouch. The water may not smell so good when he gets it, but it's better than none. I follow the foul smell of the berries back the way I came, letting my nose guide me this time instead of my ears. As the sound of water diminishes little by little, my anxiety grows. Will Perry still be conscious? Will he even be alive? By the time I enter the cavern where I left him, the third one I passed through, I made sure to count them. I'm in agony. I stop and listen for his breathing. Perry? His name taunts me, bouncing around the room. I'm here, he finally answers, his voice weak. I allow myself to breathe again. I kneel next to him and hold the pouch of sloshing water to his lips. Here, drink. Crankberries. He tries to laugh but ends up choking. I fumble around in the dark, repacking the torch, the untouched food, and the oilskin of water that I left for him. Then I search his pack. There's no way he'll be able to carry it, or his bow and quiver of arrows now. I shove his remaining provisions, the medicine pouch, his knife, and the little carved bird into my pack and hoist it up, ignoring the throbbing of my shoulders. Come on, we've got to get you moving, I say. Can't do it, he whimpers. We agreed to stay together, remember? He tries to speak, but I can't make out what he says. Please, Perry, try. A moment passes. Then I feel him lift his neck. I support his shoulders as he struggles to a sitting position. So dizzy. I cut his cheek with my hands, like I used to with Elon when I really wanted him to listen. Do you remember my first day with the Scourge, when I collapsed with all the flesh eaters around me? I was terrified, and I wanted to give up. But you made me believe I could do it. Well, I believe you can do this. Find the strength. He leans back like he's going to lie down again, but instead he puts his hands under him and, gasping, pushes himself to his feet. I take as much of his weight onto my shoulder as I can. One step at a time, I say. Take it one step at a time. I sing to him as we shuffle forward. Any song I can think of. Songs I haven't sung since I was young. Songs Aloe sang when I was frightened or upset. Perry doesn't speak. His rasping breath and the movement of his feet are the only signs he's still conscious. A few times he wavers, like he's about to faint, and I wedge him between my body and the wall, trying to keep him upright. When I run out of songs, I talk to him. I tell him things I've never told anyone, like how frightening sightlessness can be sometimes, and how exhausting it is to try to be brave, to do for myself, to not ask for help, to be more like Aloe. I tell him how I sometimes envy the sighted so much it hurts, and other times I'm so fiercely proud of my self-sufficiency. I wouldn't be sighted if I had the choice. I tell him how much it meant to have him as my keeper, to know he was there in the trees, watching over me. He doesn't respond. I'm not sure he can hear me anymore, but I sing and talk until I'm hoarse, and still we walk toward the water. I lose track of time and distance again, thanks to the fatigue from carrying my pack and much of Perry's weight, and the constant fear that he'll pass out. I try to remember how many caverns we've passed through, but all the caves and passages we've traversed in the last 2.5 days blend in my memory. The days since I became the water bearer feel like one long, dark passage with no end. In the blackest moments, my entire life feels that way. The sound of rushing water brings me to my senses again. Fighting to hold Perry up, I focus the rest of my energy on reaching it. When I can feel the spray of water on my legs, I lower him to the rock floor. I fill a water sack and hold his head up so he can drink. Most of the water slides down his face, but he swallows a little and coughs. I cushion his head with a balled-up extra dress and inch the dry, blood-crusted bandages off his leg. The swelling and the heat beneath is appalling. I clean the wound with water until I can feel no more dirt or dried blood. Then I squeeze more agrimony and yarrow paste from my medicine pouch and rewrap it. He doesn't stir. I think he's unconscious. When I finish, I wait for him to wake up or to die. I listen to the water rush by. It sounds like it emerges from the rock itself and disappears back into it, dampening my hope that we might find a way out. Exhausted and dispirited, I curl up beside Perry, my hand on his chest to reassure myself that he's breathing. Lulled by the constant stream of water, I sleep. When I wake, the first thing I'm aware of is relief. Perry's hand is on top of mine now, and it's still warm, which means he's still alive. I lean closer to listen to him breathe. He croaks, making me jump. I fill the sack and hold his head again while he drinks. "Thank you," he whispers. I lay my hand against his cheek. "How do you feel?" He shakes his head slightly. "Where are we?" "The Hidden Waters. We walked here. Do you remember?" "I thought I was dead. Dreamed I was a flesh eater." "You're alive. I was only sure when I felt you next to me." He presses his cheek into my palm. "Where's the torch? I want to see what we came all this way for." "It's hard to find in my pack. There's so little of it left." He struggles up, then helps me light it with shaking hands. The torch crackles to life, and the darkness fades a bit. Perry says nothing. "What does it look like?" I ask. "Like a cave, with water." "Where does the water go? Can you tell?" "Through an opening in the rock on the far wall." "Do you see any light beyond? Like the stream might go outside from here, or another way out?" He doesn't answer. The torch almost singes my hands before sputtering out, and the last of my hope goes with it. I have no idea what to do now. I can't get Perry back home in his condition. There's maybe enough food to last one more day. The water might keep him alive for a few days while I go for help, unless the infection from his wound kills him first. Despair caresses me with frost-tipped fingers. "Fennel?" I'm here. I take his hands. Have you ever heard the story of how the first fish were created? He sounds different, resigned. I fight to keep my voice even. Maybe you should rest. I will soon. Come lie next to me. You're freezing. I pull my bedroll over us and lay with my head on his chest. His voice echoes in my ear. You know about fish, right? They swam in the waters. I had heard of fish. A few of the elders ate them when they were children, but the last of the fish died over a generation ago. No one knew why. Long ago, there were no fish. Every animal lived on the land. The people had plenty and were satisfied. Everyone except one boy. He loved one of the girls of a nearby community since childhood, and she loved him, but her father didn't want them to be together. The boy was different, an outsider, so the boy gave up and wandered through the forest for a time. He returned several years later, determined to ask the girl to be his partner. He found that although she still loved him, she was intended to another, a commitment she had to honor, according to the community's laws. The boy wanted to fight for her, but the girl told him no. Instead, she would run away with him that night. When the sun left the sky, she stole away from her home and met the boy in the forest. They ran and ran as fast and as far as they could. They ran so far they came to the edge of a vast water hole, where they spent the rest of the night, exhausted but happy to be together. The couple woke at first light, and using driftwood, they made arrows and spears to defend themselves, knowing they would be pursued. Sure enough, men appeared at the water hole soon after. The girl continued to make weapons while the boy shot the arrows and threw the spears with such accuracy that the men had to hide. They held them off this way for a long time, but then they ran out of wood. As the boy held the last arrow to his bow, the girl told him she would go back with the men so he could escape. No, he said, we must stay together, whatever happens. If we can live together on land, then we must go into the water. She agreed. He shot his last arrow, and the boy and girl slipped into the water. The men ran down, throwing their spears at them, and the spears stuck, becoming fins. They swam away, the first fish, and they never again left the water, because to do so would mean certain death. Perry shifts his weight and moans. My hands fly to his face, powerless to do anything else to help. After a minute, he speaks again. My mother said there were people who believed underground rivers were the boundaries between our world and the afterworld. They thought people crossed the river when they died. I don't want to stay in the cold and dark forever. Silent tears slipped down his face. Will you be sure I don't? Let the river wash what's left of me outside into the sunlight. I want to say he's not going to die here, but I can't lie, so I say nothing. When you go back, tell Shrike. Tell him he was a good father. He's worried about that since my mother left. And tell Petrel he won. He'll know what it means. I will. Is there anyone else you want me to give a message to? Other friends? No other friends. But there must be others you were close to. I hesitate. What about the girl? The one you told me wasn't old enough to partner with yet. There's no one. No Lofty girl, at least. He pauses, and when he speaks again, his voice is even more hollow than it was before. We had the same fever you did, and many died. Our numbers were already dwindling before the fever. Now we don't have enough people to do everything that needs to be done. Hunt, gather food and wood, be the lookouts, watch the remaining children. That's why we make decisions together. We don't need a separate council. I sift through the little information I have about the Lofties. Not many of you came to the last few summer solstices. We thought you didn't want to celebrate with us, but really there were less of you. For generations we've given up more babies in exchange than we've received. Dark coloring seems to be more common than light. It's ironic. Our ancestors drove yours out of the trees and created the exchange to protect our resources. Now we're dying out, thanks to their narrow minds and our own fear and pride. Does anyone else know about this? Aloe? The three? No, Perry says. It's forbidden to speak to Groundlings about, but I don't think they'll get here in time to punish me. I can't stand it. Don't say that. You're not. He stops my lips with his fingers. I want to tell truths now. Something has to change, and soon. My people are afraid, but we'll have to strike some kind of bargain with your people, or we won't survive. Do something for me. When you go back, tell Aloe what I told you. Persuade your council to help. Come back with me and tell them yourself, I plead. Does your sightlessness give you the power to cheat death? I shake my head, frustration and helplessness strangling me, only to walk among it. We lie in silence then, numb with grief. I listen to his slow breathing. For a moment I consider giving up, staying here with Perry, next to the hidden waters. But voices drift to me through the caves like the whispers of ghosts, the voices of my people, beseeching me to return with some hopeful news. And I have the Lofties to consider now, slowly dying out in the trees over our heads. Can I do this? Can I go back and shake the foundation of what my people believe? That the Lofties keep us subservient? Would it change anything? I don't know, but I have to find out. I make up my mind. I'll stay with him as long as I can. Then I'll go back. I try to stay awake, but I'm depleted, body and spirit. I doze off, and I'm the girl from the story. My back to the edge of the water, my hair lashing around me in the gusting wind. I hand Perry the last arrow I've made. Knowing the men are coming for us, I tell him I'll go back with them. No, we stay together, he reminds me, and suddenly I know what I have to do. I try to wake Perry, to tell him my plan, but he doesn't stir. So I stuff what I can into an empty water sack. Food, the diminished medicine pouch, the scrap of fabric, and the rabbit's foot Bear gave me. Perry's knife, and the little wooden bird. I secure the sack to my body. I don't think about what might happen, or I won't have the courage to do this. I wrap my arms around Perry and whisper in his ear. Then I roll us over the edge into the river. Alright, folks, that's the end of Chapter 9. Wow, what an ending. I can't wait for the next chapter. Well, I'll get this one uploaded, and I'll see you the next time. Bye-bye for now.